All right. So before we get into actually testing, I want to talk about formatting. So these are two things that are going to help you a lot. They're going to save you a lot of time in terms of your formatting your code and catching just little errors that you may not catch yourself. So you can see prettier. This is the one on the bottom. This is an opinionated code formatter. You can set it up to save your formats on to format your code when you save. So basically with this, it's going to take care of your indents. It's going to take care of like if you want single quotes versus double quotes. It's going to set all of that in place. And I've really enjoyed this because it helps me save time. And then when you're on the team as well, you all will have the same code. You're not going to be pushing in code that has different kinds of rules or style rules. And I've been in these rooms where we were going back and forth about just things that didn't really matter, but everybody was passionate about their way. Like for example, if we're importing, say if you're using Redux or something and you're importing your types, should you import all the types on the same line or should each one be on the next line? And we were going back and forth about this to where it's like, if you have something like Prettier, it removes all of those conversations. You don't have to just go back and forth about like, is this way or that way or whatever. Code reviews, I've seen code reviews where they're saying, can you just delete one line or whatever? Takes all of that out of the equation.
Then you get in the arguments about how long your line length should be, though.
So arguing is going to take place. That's pretty much what I've learned. So it's about how can we come to some kind of agreement of what's best for everybody? Because yeah, these are things that people are just passionate about. I want it to look this way. And then ESLint, you can't argue with the linter. Nope, let the linter do everything that you need it to do. So this is going to catch things like if you create a variable and you don't use it, it's going to throw an error to let you know. So you just don't have all of this unneeded code in here. Or is somebody drawing on the screen? How do you do that? Oh, okay. If y'all want to draw on the screen, that's cool. We're all in this together. So, and then if you're doing something like console.log, you don't want to push a bunch of console logs, so I'll throw an error. And let me see, I was just going to quickly show in VS Code, if you go to, so I'll have the settings open, preferences settings. If you go down here, you can configure and change kind of how you want this stuff to work out. So let's see, where's one? So like if you wanted to format when you're typing or when you're saving, it just has a lot. So you could go through that, get that configured the way that you want. Make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, and then I'm going to put a link to anything that I mentioned in the Slack channel. So there's something else called formatting toggle. And this is pretty cool because with the click of a button, you could turn on and off your Prettier. So that's a VS Code extension called formatting toggle. Let me see, we have some questions. Universally accepted linting style guide for JavaScript. I'll throw that to the crowd. Like I've seen Airbnb, are they the one that had the linting guide? Yeah, Airbnb has a really popular one. But yeah, I'll throw that to the crowd. All right, and then the last thing before we get into our unit test, so type checking. So you have different options. And the first one is prop types. So if you're using prop types, it's basically if you're passing a prop to a component, you want to tell your code what that type should be. So if we're working on the calculator and I'm expecting a number and a string comes in, say the user somehow puts a string or an emoji in there, it's going to say, hey, this prop, this number, or this result is supposed to be a number, but it's actually a string. So prop types, really helpful with that. Flow and TypeScript, I'm not going to talk about because I haven't used them, even though I've seen TypeScript and I know people love it. So if you use TypeScript or Flow out there, this is an open invitation to speak to us sometime this year to enlighten us, so we can see that in real time. And this is just kind of what prop types looks like. So one of the things that I've learned when debugging is that when you first see an error, all of this red can be intimidating. Like, what is happening? But if you just take a deep breath and read it. So what this is telling me, so we have display.prop types. Display is my component, and result is what I'm expecting there to be a number. If this is a calculator, I think this is going to be a number. Or I have it in here as a string, which is wrong. So this warning says failed prop type invalid prop result of type number supplied to display expected string. So this is telling me we wanted one thing, we got another. Please fix it. So just want to take a quick break, see if anybody has any questions or wants to contribute to the conversation. Any thoughts on what we've talked about up until this point? Just give a minute. Want to take a drink.
One of the things that I've seen in ESLint, and this is frustrating if you're maybe getting started, is that if you jump into a package or maybe you're working on a team and ESLint is turned on to where like you added one extra comma or you didn't put an optional semicolon because JavaScript and the whole app doesn't compile, right?
Oh yeah.
And then people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And they have to go through the whole stack and they're trying to figure out like, oh, you left a semicolon off on the end of one function somewhere or whatever. So some of the stuff is like maybe turn things down to, I think some of my coworkers do this, like turn off some of the ESLint rules or make them warnings so that you can actually work through things and make them compile and not produce errors that just stop you in your tracks.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like you said, the semicolons, also putting a trailing comma at the end of an object. Like that's annoying to me. So yeah, I definitely would suggest going through and turning some stuff off if it's annoying or stopping the flow that you don't need.
I've also used recently in all my projects the Husky package, which will allow you to do like pre and post commit hooks. So you can, before you make a commit, you can run something which you run lint stage and it'll look at all your stage files and then see, hey, you said these are the great ESLint rules you want. I'm hoping no lewd pictures come out of this, or I have to shut it down. These are all the rules that you and your team said you would enforce, but your commit has a wrong thing in here, right? Like that is really helpful because then you don't have to send something to CI and it builds for 15 minutes and then it fails and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that's helpful.
If you're going to run ESLint and Prettier in the same package, make sure the rules line up, especially if you have autocorrect set for both ESLint and Prettier. Conflicting rules will sit and blow your project up.
Yep, that's a great point. And let me see if I can find it. So I have, this is format enable. So I turned off format enable for ESLint because Prettier is taking care of it. So yeah, you want to make sure you don't have those two competing with each other. All right, cool. All right, let's keep moving. Oh, is this going to stay on the screen? All right, y'all got to erase that now.